Hey guys, I recently had an experience of past life regression that I thought I'd share with you. I'm going to try and be as brief as possible whilst explaining to you, but obviously it includes reincarnation. And we all know the theory or story around reincarnation is that when we pass from this life, we go through a series or a cycle until we return again. And it's just a cycle, the circle of life, as in Lion King. So obviously, I'm very open-minded. I don't necessarily believe in reincarnation or follow that at all. But because I'm open-minded, I thought I'd try it out because I want to see if things work. So um, I went to see a lovely woman called Deborah, who specializes in past life regression. She's based in Solihull in Birmingham. I'll post the details below in the description. Absolutely fantastic experience. She put me into a state of hypnosis after welcoming me there. The experience that I can describe what hypnosis is like, it's almost falling into a dream, a sleep, but you're awake in your dream, almost like a lucid dream. So she's putting me into hypnosis. And to cut a long story short, I fall into my first life, which was my last life. I wake up and I'm on a farm. I'm on a farm surrounded by fields. There's a baby there who's my daughter. There's a woman looking after the baby. The baby's name's Chloe. The woman's name was Mary. A J kept coming to me along with the name Francis. I seemed to be a landowner of some sort, but I was really upset when this vision came to light, and I found myself crying enormously with just tears. And when she pushed further to explore what it was, I lived in a town. The best time I can explain it was around 1700s, maybe 1600s, Scandinavia, or maybe somewhere in Europe. Beautiful. I could tell by the kind of houses and the way they were built. But there was a king and queen, or a lord, a woman and a man in the town that wanted me to do something, and I wouldn't do it. And when we delved deeper, what it seemed to be, so I was a landowner on a farm, and they wanted some taxes from me of some sort, some levy for the church. And I didn't want to convert, and I wouldn't pay the taxes. So after a while, I got into some trouble. I believe I was a pagan being tried to be converted to Christianity, but it could be I was a Christian trying to be converted to something else. I'm unsure. The only reason I say that, I saw a cross and a Bible, a book when it was happening. And my punishment after denying it and things is I left. They took me away, and they literally, I was crucified but burned on a stake. So that's why obviously it must have been such a traumatic experience. It was all lucid, very vivid. I could feel and see everything. And to just give you a recap into my current life, my mom passed away on my 30th birthday, my granddad a few months later. I was brought up by my nan and my granddad mainly, and I still live with my nan after having a brain aneurysm. I look after her now, I kind of care for her. I live with my girlfriend Jess as well, and my fiance, who I'm in love with completely. So that's a perspective into my life at the moment. And just cutting back to that first life, when we were pushing deeper, she was asking me who these people felt like. And the baby, Chloe, resembled my mom. It was just my mom. So it turns out Chloe was actually my mom, who I left in that life at an early age. And then it turns out that, we've came back together in this life, lived what we needed to. And then she's kind of done the same with me. Mary, who was looking after my mom, who would have brought Chloe up, essentially, and was looking after me, as well, was my nan. So it's kind of come full circle where I'm now looking after and caring for my nan, and, repaying for what she did for me with Chloe, which, was an amazing realization and brought to light some of the things that's going on or have gone on in my life at the moment. The life back from that, I'm trying to be quick for you because I don't want to keep you for too long. And I've got things to do myself. The life before that, I was a warrior of some sort, up in the hierarchies, some kind of commander. I believe it was like Roman or Viking type of era. It skipped from being an encampment of some sort to a ship where I was commanding and leading the ship. On there was a bard singing and playing, I think it was a drum or something, playing the drums. And it actually turns out that that bard was my granddad, who had such a similar characteristics in terms of the bard. He loved music, he loved to drink, he was a great guy, just a lovely character. There was also a guy on there that I recognized to be my uncle Dave, so we were kind of there together. And then we were in a war of some sort on the sea. I remember thinking and hearing Phoenicians, and then arrows started to come and fire. I got hit in the stomach with an arrow, and I fell in the sea, and I died that way in that life. But the way I was feeling it, I died happy. I was a warrior, and I knew that I wanted to die in battle, so that was fine. But coming back to my present life now, I've had stomach problems all my life. I've had stomach problems literally all my life, and they've played me up in later years more so. A week after having an regression as well, I did actually have to go into hospital for vomiting blood, which was a strange occurrence. After the investigations, they couldn't really find where the blood was coming from or anything. But it did make me think of this occurrence of this past life where I was shot in the stomach with an arrow, which is mind-blowing, But as I say, I'm open-minded. Who knows? Skipping on to the last life that I found and fell back into, it was back in an ancient era, and I was a prince. The reason a prince living in a palace, and it was Eastern, like Indian, or it had an Eastern vibe to it. So I was like an Eastern prince of some sort. And the reason I know is because I looked down at my slippers, and they were like blue velvet with diamonds and rubies all on the slipper. It was amazing. Marble and gold, the whole halls and the columns were made of. On the exterior, this beautiful pour, absolutely astonishing. But again, to try and get you through the story, it seemed that my mom in that life had passed the queen, and the king was left, and he had married a younger woman who was my age. At the time, I would say I was either a late teenager or an early adult in this life. And what ended up happening was I fell in love with my father's wife, essentially, and she fell in love with me. Nothing actually happened, but we felt this deep desire, and we're completely in love with each other. And nothing fruition, because my father was quite old, but it probably would have if he would have died. But I died very young through an illness of some sort. I was kind of a weak, timid, prince who wasn't built very well and suffered from illnesses. So I died in an early age. The last memory I have of that was being in a bed with the woman, the king's wife, next to me, holding hands before I passed. And when I was asked to identify who that woman might be, Jess, my current fiance, it was just her. All the energy, it was her. That's what I felt it was. So what would have turned out to happen is, because we couldn't, have our romance and love in that life, who was my only love really, to an extent, because although there would have been a mother of Chloe, I never had any feeling in that life apart from the love for Chloe. I've came back full circle again and met Jess in this life, and we've actually lived in what we should have lived then. So, the way I'm looking at it is that I've healed a lot of the past traumas of previous lives, if you believe in that, through stepping back into the memories and seeing it. And the funny thing is, even if you're skeptical about this or you don't believe it, the synchronicity with my lives and my current life now, I'm a fighter, I'm a warrior, I've got all of that, but at the same time I've got stomach problems, I'm quite timid, and all these, the relationships between the lives are quite startling. The skill sets that would have came out of them as well. I love gardening, I love food, I love cooking. So, that would have came out of that one, my desire, my fight, my might, the knowledge that would have came potentially from the warrior life, and the wisdom and the sense of being kingly would have came from the other one, but it's answered quite a few questions in my own life in terms of things I was dealing with as a child and things that might have happened to me, and the way I was feeling always had this almost tension in me or anger towards something. And when that last life of me being the farmer, and I was crucified and I had to leave my daughter, and the reason why it hurt so much is because I had the choice. That's what it was. And I blame myself because I chose not to abide by their laws and was killed for it and had to leave my daughter. Whereas I could have just started paying the taxes of the levy, converted, and still been with her. That hurt. And from my childhood and teenage years, I've always felt something. And, believe it or not, that being told to me just lifted that and gave me an answer for how I'd felt all the years. So, in reflection and as a summary, I would advise anybody to try it out. I believe it cost me, I think it was about £70, and it was about a 2-hour session, maybe free. She did some healing after, give me some holy water, all of this. It was a beautiful and peaceful experience. I'd advise everybody that's thought about it or has any inkling into sensations or feelings in the body that they're not quite sure of, to go and explore it. It might give you some answers in terms of where traumas have came from if there's none present in this life. And then once you get them, you can understand why you may have been feeling ways and just relieve yourself from it and move on. So it was a great experience for me to do. I don't know if I needed it or not. Maybe I did. That's why I did it. There's a reason for everything in life, a silver lining. So reincarnation, past life regression, advisable from me. I went back to 3 lives. It's helped me now. Peace out, people. Love from Chad.